Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is it's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So first of all, you can probably tell I'm still in Blackpool, still here, teching Ryland and Thea's show, Magic and Mischief. So I'm still not in my normal studio. I'm very sorry, but I didn't want you guys to miss any videos. Second of all, if you've never seen a Q&A before, the idea is I take all the questions that you've asked and I try to answer them. You are getting my raw, unfiltered opinions, which means that I haven't read these questions ahead of time. I'm just going to read them and give you an off-the-cuff answer. If there is a question that I think needs a longer answer, I will make that video at some point in the future, as happens quite a lot. Also, try to get your questions in by sort of Monday or Tuesday. I typically film these things on a Tuesday, occasionally a Wednesday, but sometimes it can be as early as a Monday. So if you want to guarantee to get your questions in, ask them as soon as possible. And then finally, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to every single person that's commented on the channel, watched the video, subscribed, whatever it is that you do. I do this for you guys, so thank you so much. Now, with that all being said, and without further ado, we're going to get into this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Frank Porchosco, who says, question if I may, I've been a hobbyist for years and my goal is to get out and actually perform for real people besides family and friends. Build that experience and begin to collect clips for social media to start to build the social proof you talk about frequently. Practical question though, before posting videos, do I need any sort of formal release from anyone else in the frame? Clearly, if I'm filming or being filmed with the intention to post on social media, spectators should know this, but in this day and age, a formal release is required or prudent, or if not required. Thanks for all you do, Craig. I've never actually done that. I've never actually got into a situation where I've had releases filmed, signed, or anything like that. I don't do that. When I'm filming for social media, I will typically say, hey, I'm filming this for social media. Would you mind if I film you and use it for my channel? And 99, well, no, I've never had anyone say no, to be perfectly honest. And I'm very clear about using it on social media. If somebody said no, I'd be like, okay, no problem, I'll show you a trick anyway, but I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to film it. I think that if you were, now the only time that's changed is we've done some show reels in the past for my kids company, kids entertainment company. And when we've done that, we've organized like full magic shows and we've invited parents to bring their kids for free. And we've had them fill in forms to kind of allow us to actually use that footage in social media and on various different show reels. I think it's a different thing if we're doing it that way, if kids are involved. But if you're filming content for your channel or your social media specifically for growing your Instagram or whatever the case may be, I don't think you need formal releases. Just be very clear and be very honest with people about what you're using the footage for, and I don't think you'll have a problem. Good luck. So BayJMB says, hey Craig, thanks for making these Q&As. I know you're super busy and we all appreciate it. You're more than welcome, not a problem at all. Couple of questions for you. Okay, we'll take them one at a time. What is your go-to card packet wallet? As I haven't really found one that fits 4 or 5 cards in each slot. Okay, so there's quite a few that are quite nice, and I used to use the ones made by Dave Bonsall at Prop Dog, and they're still very good, the JBL ones or the JML ones. But the ones that I tend to use now are the TCC ones. They don't hold multiple packet tricks, but to be honest, I'm never going to have more than a couple of packet tricks on me anyway. I typically will put one of them in my top pocket, and I've got different ones in different close-up cases. When I get to a gig, if I think a packet trick is going to be appropriate, I'll take that little wallet and I'll put it in my top pocket. So I don't really need one that has like 5 or 6 slots in. So I couldn't really answer that, but I can tell you is out of all the ones I've tried, TCCs tend to be the best. And I do think TCC have one that holds more packets. Eric Tate has a really good one. It's like a hard shell case. He showed it me when I was at Columbus one time. And it's like a hard shell case, and it's not designed for magic. You found it on Amazon. I'm not too sure what its intended use was. But it's a hard shell case, and you open it up, and it's got lots of different sections in there. And it kind of almost opens up like a fan. And then he can reach in and take out whichever packet trick he wants. And he closes it up, and it's like a little hard shell case that you can just throw in your pocket. And it holds like 10 or 15 packet tricks. I always thought that was quite good, but I could never find one on Amazon. So maybe if you're connected to Eric Tate, you might want to reach out to Eric Tate. That's probably the best one that I've ever seen that holds multiple packets, and it's not a magic product as far as I'm aware. Okay, Bay JMB has got another question as well, which is, what makes a good opener and closer for a close-up performance? Well, honestly with you, buddy, I mean, that's very subjective. It really is very, very subjective. I'm going to assume that you're not under time pressure with this performance because, a lot of the time when I'm performing magic, I've got to get around as many groups as possible. And so time pressure kind of dictates things need to be quick. But I'm assuming that it's just a informal performance and you want to do the best opener and the best closer that you can. So the first thing that I would say about an opener is it needs to be quick, it needs to be visual, it needs to establish credibility, and it needs to be something that people can follow very easily. And I think that's the case, even with mentalism. A lot of mentalism is very drawn out, but I think that even mentalists can make things quick. Like, I've always thought that one of the best openers for a mentalist is just holding a deck of cards, holding an invisible deck, having someone name a card and showing it's the only one turned over in the deck. I think that is an incredible opener for a mentalist. But if you're a magician, something quick, something visual, something that establishes credibility. So you want the people that are watching you to go, okay, this guy's actually quite good. So for example, you might do the best version of the 21 card trick in existence, but people have probably seen it before. They probably know what the 21 card trick is. They're going to assume that you're going to be doing something that you've seen before. It's very long and it's very procedural. You want something quick, visual, establishes credibility, ideally something that they haven't seen before, but also something that fits within you as a performer. So for example, I'm not going to do something that I wouldn't normally perform just because it makes a good opener. I have to do something that fits within my character, fits within my style. So I would typically do something maybe with a coin, because that's a lot of what I do. I do a lot of coin magic. In terms of the closer, you want to have, and again, this is subjective, but in my opinion, the closer should have that final moment, that whole boom. I can't go further than that. This is the finale of my act. So Ryland recently has been using Leviosa phone, which is amazing. We've got a review on it going up tonight. We've been in Blackpool. He's been doing it close up in the bar. He's been doing it on the stage. Leviosa phone looks amazing. And he's been using that an awful lot as a closer to a close-up set that he's been doing. And I think Leviosa phone is a perfect example of a trick that you can't really follow. It's an amazing finale to a trick, right? And that's what you're looking for the finale. You're looking for something that kind of has that explanation point on it, that whole, I don't think I can go any further than that. So when you're doing a coin routine, if you produce a jumbo coin, that's typically the last thing that you're going to do, because that moment where you make that coin appear, that stops everybody and makes them go, oh my gosh, and then they're handing the coin around, they're looking at it. So that's kind of really important, I would say. Also, you want to try wherever possible to make the opener and the closer kind of come full circle. Even in a close-up set, this is something that people do an awful lot on stage, but even in a close-up set, I think it's very important. So for example, let's just say that you introduced a prop at the beginning of your set that you're then going to use for the finale of your set. If you can top and tail it, and you can have a narrative running all the way through your performance, leading to everything being paid off at the end and bringing, the thing that happened at the beginning back to the end, I think that's really strong as well. So I was I've been doing a lot of close-up at the Ryan and Thea's shows at Blackpool before their show starts. And one thing that I've been doing, there's a table in the House of Secrets that's really, really rickety. And if you put a playing card underneath it, it's perfect. So I've been walking up to this group of people, and I've been doing an old Gate and Bloom thing where I go, hey, my name's Craig, I'm the magician. And I kind of lean on the table and realise it's wobbly. And I go, oh, it looks a little bit wobbly. Let me help you out with that. And I take a card and I fold it up. They don't see what the card is. I fold it up and put it under the leg. Then I go into a whole bunch of whatever, and I finish off with their signed card has vanished. I go, well, you're probably wondering where I was. Do you remember the first thing I did? I gave you a card to sort out your table. And then I have them reach under and take out the card and hand it to me. And when they hand it to me, I open it up and I show it's actually their signed card. Really incredible moment, brings the thing full circle. Perfect use of the environment you're in. So yeah, there you go. That's a few thoughts on that. That's what I think that you should do. Hopefully that helps. If you want more clarification, please let me know. Okay, Magic Trade says, hi Craig, hope you're keeping well while travelling around. Yes, I am, thank you very much. The homing card routine is really commercial, but I found it problematic whilst wearing my usual casual jeans. Are there any alternatives to the homing card that could be as impactful? I seem to remember a Caleb Larry routine on his Function 9 DVD where the finale involved 52 cards going into his shoe. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like a multi-phase card to pocket, right? Where the card goes into the pocket again, goes into the pocket again. You know, David Williamson pioneered the whole thing of the deck going into the pocket at the end. It's a great routine. You are correct in that if you're wearing very tight jeans, it's more difficult to do that routine than if you've got loose fitting jeans. But the thing that makes that trick work, the reason that like a multi-phase card to pocket works, is the same reason an ambitious card works, insofar as the same thing's happening over and over again, and then there's a big finale. So with the card to pocket or the homing card, the card's going into the pocket, it's happening again and again and again. And then the finale is the deck goes into the pocket. With the ambitious card, the card's coming to the top of the deck. It's happening again and again and again. And then there's a finale, which, you know, various different finales with the ambitious card. It's the same with card in the box. The card goes under the box. It goes under the box again and again and again. And then the deck goes under the box, then goes into the box. Yeah? So it works through repetition. You see, it's that old expression, isn't it? Never repeat a trick. But what you're effectively doing to these people is you're repeating the trick again and again. The card's going in the middle, it's coming to the top. Well, let me do it again for you. So the second time they're watching more carefully and it still comes to the top. The next time they're watching more carefully, it still comes to the top. Same with the pocket, goes in the pocket. Now they are watching more carefully. They see your hand empty and it still comes in the pocket. It still comes in the pocket, right? So what you're wanting to try and do here is find any routine where there's repetition, 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 finale. So a couple of examples. I've got a trick which I've never published, which is going on the Netrix soon, which is a card to mouth, where the card goes into the mouth 3 times, and then the deck goes into the mouth as a big finale. That has the same sort of feel to homing card. Another example is, you are right, there's a card under shoe. I can't remember Kalen's routine, but there is a really nice download on Penguin where the card goes under the shoe. It goes under the shoe again, it goes into the shoe, and then the deck goes into the shoe. Anything like that is perfect. So think about all those different routines that you do. I published one on the Netrix recently, which is kind of a sandwich style routine where the 2 jokers are put aside and the selected card appears in between the jokers. Then it appears in between the 2 jokers again. And then there's a finale, the deck goes in between the 2 jokers. It's that same sort of feel. So, yeah, that's basically the advice that I can give you on that, which is look for routines where there's multiple phases doing the same thing, and then look for a finale, because that's going to achieve the same thing as the homing card. Okay, so Tom Cocker Official says, hi Craig. Hey Tom, I found out today that I am the newest member of the Magic Circle. I'm so happy, as you can imagine. Tom, congratulations. Welcome to the Circle. Your videos on the subject of the Magic Circle and interviews really helped me along the journey. So I just wanted to say thank you. Keep up the amazing work. Congratulations, Tom. That's amazing. Shout it loud and proud. Use all of those assets. Use that Magic Circle membership to really further your career. And congratulations. Welcome. Okay, so Yin How Magic says, hi again, Craig. Thanks for your reply on how one's performance character can dictate the effects and segues. You're more than welcome. Apologies if you answered this before. I'm working on something where I need to force several numbers throughout the show for a callback reveal at the end, e.g. a matching serial number or crypttext. Do you have suggestions on several standalone routines that can force numbers, e.g. 12, 345, 67, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reveal at the end of the show? So far, I've thought of a book test where the page number has been predetermined. You mentioned toxic in this week's video. That seems perfect. I hope I articulated that perfectly, or that properly. So you need basically standalone routines that will force numbers. Okay, so yes, a book test is a perfect example. If you can come up with a method for a book test that allows you to force a page, then you could use that number. Toxic is another example. You can use toxic to do any sort of trick, but then obviously at the end of it, you can have a prediction of that. You can use that as the prediction. Lloyd, I can't remember what it's called. Lloyd created an app ages ago, Lloyd Barnes, which was a stopwatch. And the stopwatch, you would open up your phone and you take out the stopwatch and you'd have them start it and you'd have them stop it. And when it stopped, it actually stopped on a force number. The milliseconds, I think it was a force number. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe somebody more intelligent than me can let you know in the comments down below. But that potentially could work as if you can build a routine around that, then that potentially could work. Also, you could have somebody, you could force a film and have them look it up on IMDb and look at what the rating is. So I do a routine in my book Absolute Madness where I have someone go onto IMDb and I have them look up a list of the top 25 films of all time, and I show them that I've made a prediction. If you use the list of films and you force a particular film, for example, it could be using Digital Force Bag or something like that, that you will know what position that film is in that list, and therefore you can use that as a number as well. So you could use Digital Force Bag, force a film, and then have a look it up on their film and have a look at what the position is of the film on the list on IMDb, if that makes sense. You could do an any card at any number and have someone name a number and you deal down and the card's at that number, but then you use that number, that position in the deck as your force for your revelation later on, whatever that may be. That could work quite well as well. Trying to think of any others. Those are the ones that come straight to my head, off the top of my head. I was going to say, what's that Richard Sanders trick? Powerball 60. I was going to say Powerball 60, but the problem with Powerball 60 is you're not forcing the number. You're reading their mind and telling them what the number is. So that might not work, which is a shame. It could be a prediction of 3 playing cards. So, for example, you mentioned 3, 4, 5 earlier on. You could have a prediction of a picture of 3 cards, and it's a 3 of clubs, a 4 of hearts, and a 5 of spades. And you have the card shuffled, and you force 3 cards, and the prediction of the card matches the 3 cards they've picked. They won't associate those 3 cards with a number, but you can point out, look, you could have picked any cards on the deck, but you picked a 3 of clubs, a 4 of hearts, a 5 of spades. That's technically, if you put it together in that order, remember, you guys decided on the order, that's 345. So that might be another one as well. If you wanted to borrow a coin and switch it for a borrowed coin, you could do a mind reading effect where you tell them the date on the coin, but then you could take the last 2 digits of the date. So, for example, if it was 1945, for argument's sake, you could take 4 and 5, and that could also be a prediction as well. The date on the coin that you've read their mind and told them the thing. So yeah, I think all of those would work. I don't know if that's enough. Let me know if you want more, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that I can think of. Okay, so the next question is from Punkala, who says, what is a Carlisle turnover? I can definitely help with that. Carlisle turnover, if I bring the camera down ever so slightly, like that. So this is a Carlisle turnover. It's basically a paddle move with a card. Now, I tend to use it. I have got a lot of work on this, but the way I tend to use it is just by putting it down onto the table. So imagine if this is the table, I would put it down very, very subtly. I will never show it like this, but I'll put it down ever so slightly. It's basically a paddle move with a card. It's been around since time began. It's a relatively easy move to work and do. The best use of it is in Inside Outside by Gary Kurtz, which he put in his book by Richard Kaufman, called Unexplainable Acts, which is an amazing trick with blank cards. So there you go. That's the Carlisle turnover. Punkala's got one other question, which is, do you still plan to make that 5 tricks that didn't make the cut video? Yes, I am definitely going to make that video. Things are going to be a lot easier for me when I get back to my studio and I'm not in Blackpool anymore. So by the beginning of September, things are going to be a heck of a lot easier. But yes, I am going to make that list, no problem. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, do you do any card resets there and then in front of the spectator where the deck is facing you and it looks like you're quickly just putting the aces back? Or do you go to the side and reset it? I don't think it's easy to do in front of the table quickly like it shows in the tutorial. I don't know which tutorial you're talking about, so I'm just going to assume you're talking about chicks in general, where... Do you do any... Oh, any card. Do you do any card reset there and then in front of the spectators? I'm sorry, I understand now. So you're talking about Richard Sanders' any card, and you're wanting to know how to reset it. I would not do that in front of the spectators. Technically, you could, but the problem with it is, to do it in front of the spectators, you're going to have to fan the cards towards yourself. So anyone looking from the extreme sides or from behind is going to see exactly how the trick works. I do reset tricks openly in front of the audience, but that is not one that I would reset openly. I would prefer to just walk away. It's like a 5-second reset, right? It's a really quick reset. So I'd prefer to just walk away, very quickly just put the cards back in position, put the deck back in and I'm reset, ready to go again. That's typically the way that I prefer to do it. Okay, next question is from Mike Tyson by TKO, who says, "Hi Craig, hope you're doing well. Long time no talk. Yeah, I haven't seen you on the channel for a while, buddy. Hope you are well. I've just gotten a new release, great deck sealing device from Brentbourne's site. It's so easy and so great. Besides forcing a card and then opening a sealed deck and having their card flipped over, or a different back of their selection, any ideas you have off the top of your head that I can do and then seal it? Thanks always." Okay, so we have a product that seals a deck. Okay, so you've got a product here that seals a deck, is effectively what we have here, right? So you've got a product that seals a deck. Got it. Right. Okay. Took me a while. you got a product that seals a deck, right? So, and you want to know some ideas that you can use a deck sealer for beyond just taking a card, turning over and showing there's one card reversed, or having a card with a different colored back. Right. Okay. Got it. Never thought about this before. Off the top of my head, the first one I would do would be a sympathetic deck style routine. So I would have 2 decks of cards and have one deck set up in a particular order. I would then have the other deck match to fit that order, and I would put the cards inside. I would put them back inside 2 decks of cards, and I would seal both of those decks up. So I've got 2 decks of cards, and I would point out that there's 2 decks, one red, one blue. They can pick whichever one they want to, because it wouldn't matter. They pick one, they hold on to it, and the other one, you open it up and you say, well, the deck of cards is in new deck order when you start. You could even have the order, so the ace of spades is still on the face with the 2 and the 3 underneath or something. So you could spread through the first couple of cards and say a deck of cards is in new deck order when you have it. They go from ace through to king of clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. We're going to try and do something. So I would then do a full shuffle, as many really convincing full shuffles as you can do. And as you're doing the shuffles, I would talk and I would say, look, the thing is, the more you shuffle a deck of cards, the more different combinations it goes into. There's billions of combinations with the deck of cards. It's very unlikely that a deck of cards will ever be in the same order twice. All of this stuff. You could even crimp the bottom card of the deck so that you could get them to cut, and you could get them to shuffle, and then he could cut, and you could finish and cut yourself, really make it look like it's all mixed up. And then I would put the deck here and I'd go boom, and I'd take the deck and have them unseal it, and I'd say, let's watch. And then you could deal through every single card all the way through and show that both packs of cards match completely. I think that would be a killer routine. The other way you could do that is have one deck sealed, have the other deck a regular deck, actually have the spectator shuffle it, come up with some way of switching that deck so that it matches the deck in the spectator's box, maybe during the course of a routine. So the finale is you give that sealed deck out at the beginning, you do whatever routines you want to do, and you switch that deck out at the end, and then you show that they match. A kind of a sympathetic deck style thing would be very, very good. One of my favorite tricks of all time is Mark Leverage's virus card, which is an amazing trick. You can get it from Kmart Magic. They've got the rights to it, but basically, virus card looks like it's a regular deck of cards, right? But it's not. And at the end, sort of 80% of the cards can be examined. I would consider taking the deck out, putting virus card in, and doing virus card, because at the end, all of the cards would be blank, and there'd be a 52 card in play. It would be really, really cool. What I would suggest with that one is that you could do that with any deck. So if there's a particular deck that you like that starts off looking normal and then turns into something crazy, you could actually build that into having the deck unsealed at the very, very beginning. Next thing that you could do would be an extension of what you've done with, you suggested having one card turned over. How about having the 4 queens turned over in 4 different parts of the deck? So you have it in new deck order, but the 4 queens are face up, and then do a verbal force of the queens. You know that old thing where you say, look, you hold on to this sealed deck. We're going to, in our imagination, pick a value. There's 13 values. They're number cards and picture cards. Reach over and grab the cards for me, either the numbers or the pictures. What have you grabbed? The numbers, great. Throw them away. What does that leave us with? The pictures, brilliant. So you've got the red. So you've got the male pictures and so you've got the male picture cards and the female picture cards. The males being the jacks and the kings, the females being the queens. Hand either the males or the females to me. What have you handed over to me? The kings, the males. Brilliant. What does that leave you with? The females. Right, that was your choice. You've been holding this sealed deck the whole time. Watch. Boom. And then the cards turn over. The four queens turn over and the rest of the deck's in new deck order, and it's the four queens that have turned over. That would be quite cool. You could actually do that with, like, let's say that you did a swindle switch, right? So let's just say that you put into your sealed deck 10, it's a blank deck, but there's like 10 cards in position in different places that aren't blank. So you've got a blank deck, but there's 10 cards in there that aren't blank, right? So what you do is you put that deck to one side, you put the sealed deck, you give the sealed deck to the spectator, and then you force those 10 cards from your regular deck. They're set up on top in the order in which they're set up in the blank deck. So you have these 10 cards selected, maybe you do a cross-cut force, then you do a Paul Curry style swindle switch, so you're apparently having them change the order of these 10 cards, and you get a couple of people do the swindle switch, and you finish off by dealing them out on the table so you can see the order of these 10 cards. You then take the sealed deck, you snap your fingers, you have them unseal it, and now every single card has turned blank except for the 10 cards that they picked in the order in which they put them, and everything's examinable. So I don't know, there's a few ideas there for you. If you want more, let me know, but that should get you started. Okay, so the next question is from Darren Gregg, who says, "Hi Craig, I was wondering what your thoughts are on fake psychics, namely someone we don't hear a lot about these days, Uri Geller. For over 50 years, he has adamantly stuck to the story of having genuine psychic powers, and if he is a magician, he's never given the secrets away. Despite only performing 3 tricks, he's convinced the world that he's the real thing, even scientists and psychic researchers. Do you think this makes him the ultimate magician? In these days, where magic exposure is everywhere on the net, why are there still millions of people who believe Geller is the genuine article? Why do you think this is? Also on the same subject, what do you think of the fake psychics generally? I see Pete Turner's new product promotes the idea of being psychic. Do you think this is morally acceptable, regardless of whether or not money is changing hands? If it is wrong to tell people certain things will or won't happen in their life and have them act upon it. Your thoughts, please, Darren. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of psychics, never have been, never will be. I understand why Pete and Pig Cake are bringing out the Kickstarter that they are, and I think it definitely has information in there that would help performing magicians. But me personally, I don't like psychics. Nothing's going to change my mind about that. I think they prey on people that are weak for various different reasons. Maybe they've suffered a loss or whatever the case may be. I don't agree with psychics at all in any way, shape or form. In terms of Uri Geller, man, your guess is as good as mine. I don't understand it either. I really don't get it. I mean, he's just created an enigma around himself now, hasn't he? He's the amount of people that I meet at gigs and they go, "Oh, you know, Uri Geller, he's the real deal though, isn't he?" You know, I don't say anything, but look, I've never really kind of understood why he's the person who apparently is the real deal. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm never going to get it. I don't understand it. You know, whatever. It is what it is. More power to him. He's made, you know, there's a lot of magicians. He's not the only one. There's a lot of mentalists out there that try to make people believe that they have real psychic powers. He's not the only one. There's lots of people that try to make themselves come across as a genuine mentalist, and you can really read people's minds. There's even people that go out there, like Matt, who will go out there and say, "Well, you know, I'm just influencing you, and I'm using my abilities to control you and influence you in ways that you can't even apprehend." And I'm like, well, you're using an electronic dice, you know, but it is what it is. You know, you choose how to present your magic or your performance when you get into this game. And if you want to go down that route, that's absolutely fine. I tend to just be somebody who walks out and goes, "Look, this is not real. I'm not pretending for a minute it's real, but I'm going to try and entertain you for half an hour." Now, that might not be the most artistic thing to do. That might not be the most artistic thing to say, but that's kind of the route that I go down with this. Okay, so the next question is from Chill1000, who says, "Hey Craig, in the past I heard you say that you don't think it's a good idea for people to release magic to be anonymous or masked magicians. I just came across a new reviewer who calls himself Masked Reviews. He recently explained on social media that he is not masked to hide his identity or to seem mysterious. He's simply not comfortable showing his face. He wants to stay behind a mask, but still share who he is as a person, contribute to the community, and review magic products in an honest way. I'm curious what your thoughts are to this approach." And on the reviewer, he basically wants to review but doesn't want himself out there. Look, I caught one of his videos, and like just a couple of minutes of it accidentally popped up on my feed. Look, it is what it is. Look, anybody can go on YouTube and do anything they want to. The amount of faceless YouTube channels out there are absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, we're going to see more and more. We're going to see more and more. And this guy just obviously wants to make a name, no, well, not make a name for himself, but he wants to put a channel together and he wants to review products. If he's bought the product and he wants to put his opinion across and he doesn't want people to know who he is, more power to him. I'll tell you, I've put my name out there from day one of being on YouTube. I've always said who I am, what I stand for, and it has caused a lot of grief over the years. So I can understand why people would want to remain anonymous, why people would want to protect their identity. I absolutely get it. I'm never going to tell somebody that they can't do that, because they can. If he's bought the trick, he's got a valid reason for saying whether he likes it or he doesn't like it, then that's fine. In terms of, do I think you should do it? No, because I think you're going to build up a bigger audience, a better audience, and you're going to build more followers up if they get to know you, they get to like you, they get to see the type of person they are. And a lot of the time, if you're seeing somebody's face, it's easier to connect with the person on the other side of the screen. But that might not be his reason for doing it. His reason for doing reviews might just be because he wants to talk about his thought process on the tricks that he's bought, in which case, more power to him. I would not sit there in a mask like that doing reviews. That's not my style. But I'm not going to diss somebody for saying that that's what they want to do. If that's how they feel comfortable and they want to build their channel around being a masked reviewer and not tell people who they are, more power to him. Fair enough. Okay, so Bryce Elphia has two questions for me. He says, "Hello, Craig. Hope you and your family are well." Yes, thank you very much. Two questions for you this week. Firstly, I'm a hobbyist and I've been asked by a good friend to perform at his wedding during the reception cocktail hour. I live in America, so it'll be a new experience for the audience to have a magician at the wedding, as that is not typically done here. I'm finding myself a bit nervous about it, so any advice would be very helpful, as I've never really done a wedding before. All right. First of all, you're doing it at the right time during the reception, during the cocktail hour. That's a great time to have it. Remember, this is the important thing. Remember, there's two groups of people, and your job as a wedding magician really is to bring those two groups of people together. So look for opportunities to bring one group into your performance. If you start performing to group A here, and there's another group over there, and they're kind of watching, beckon them over. "Hey, how you doing? Come on over. I'm doing some magic here. What's your name?" "John." "John, this is Dave." "Dave, John." Yay, you guys can chat in a minute, but let's just finish the card trick. Just to catch you up, I was just had John pick a card. You know, that's where we're at right now. So try to bring groups of people together. The other important thing is when it's cocktail hour, unless they've got lots of tables around, a lot of the time they're not going to have hands. They're going to be holding drinks. They're not going to really have hands, really, to hold stuff in. So you want to bear that in mind when you're picking the material. It needs to be something that can be done ideally in the hands, no table required. That's kind of really useful. Stuff that resets. You're only there for an hour, so you want to go for stuff that automatically resets, because you haven't really got time to go and disappear somewhere to reset your tricks in between every single set. So try to pick stuff that's going to automatically reset every single time. Also, your opening needs to be really important. They need to know that you're not just a guest at that wedding, but you're actually being asked to perform there. So, you know, just walk up to the group very confidently and say, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Craig. I'm the magician. I'm here to, I've been asked by the bride and groom to show you some magic." Now, that statement is very important. It says, "I have been asked by the bride and groom." Everybody at that wedding have been invited by the bride and groom. They all know it's the bride and groom's special day. So if you say, "I have been invited by the bride and groom," it tells them, "Oh, you are meant to be here. I better pay attention because I have been sent over." It's going to get people to say yes to you. And also, because you've only got an hour, depending on the amount of people there, really kind of go fairly quickly. You want to try and make sure that you can get around everybody. And the way to get around everybody is just to make sure that you are quick and you're quick and you're quick. So don't do long drawn out routines that are very procedural. Try to hit them fast. Do stuff that is very, very impactful, and then move on to the next group. Most importantly, have fun with it. You know, at the end of the day, you're a magician, you're a performer, you're being asked to perform. Have fun with it. This is what you're supposed to love. If you enjoy it, they'll enjoy it as well. Okay, so we've got another question from Bryce Elphia, who says, second question, could you please do a 5x5 or a deep dive on the Raven? I'd love a fresh perspective and perhaps some new routines to consider. Since I love my Raven so much, I just don't want to perform the same things over and over. By the way, Raven plus the Apparition coin set is a killer combo. I hope to show you some cool routines I have with it someday, perhaps this upcoming Blackpool convention. Dude, if you're coming to Blackpool, hang out, 100%, definitely. You know what? The Raven is something that I've not really done much with. And every single time I see Nick Lacapo perform with the Raven, I'm always blown away. It's like, oh my God, you're a god when it comes to this thing, aren't you? So I tend not to do much with the Raven. Having said that, for you, I'm going to try and put a thing together. It's going to take me a month or two. I've got a Raven. I've just not really done much with it. So let me put my creative thinking hat on and see what I can come up with. Okay, the next question is from Cool Magic 114, who says, Craig, what do you think of performers who state the obvious? For example, I see this so often that the magician will say something like, and now I will take this red silk and put it in my fist. And as I tuck it in, well, duh, the audience can obviously see this is happening. Why state it? Literally telling them what you're doing when they can see what you're doing. I think this makes the performance annoying and insulting to the audience. What are your thoughts? I think something a bit more interesting should be said. Look, again, I'm not going to diss people. I've been dissed for my performance style so many times. I'm not going to diss somebody. If that's the way they like to perform, let them perform that way. It's called put and take magic. I'm going to put this here and take this here and then put this here. And, you know, it's a common thing. There's a lot of people that do it. In the early days, I used to do that a lot, and I had to, and still I do it to this day, to be perfectly honest. And I try to have to think really hard to stop myself from doing that, because it doesn't really work for me. It doesn't really work, but it's an easy trap to fall into, if that makes sense. But the thing is, you've got that at one extreme end, and at the other extreme end, you've got storytelling, where people will take the same red handkerchief and make a 15-minute story out of putting it into their fist. I also don't agree with that, but I'm never going to stop people from doing it. People like Eugene Berger made a career out of doing that sort of stuff. So I'm never going to stop people from doing that. You know, there's times when that style of magic works. You know, you look at Paul Daniels and his chop cup routine. It is essentially, I'm going to put this here. It's going to go under the cup. Is it under the cup? Is it over here? You know, there's times when it just makes sense. And what I try to do is I try to be conversational with people. So if I'm doing a red silk vanish, I say, so guys, we've got this red silk. I'm going to pop it into my hand. Now, I want you to watch very carefully. Don't blink, because if you blink, you're going to miss it. I don't want you saying later on, I made you look somewhere else. There's this thing in magic called misdirection. Don't let me misdirect you, okay? Can you do that for me? Everyone keep an eye. You haven't kept your eye off it, have you? Keep an eye on the red silk, because it's going to vanish right in front of... That's kind of my style. That's kind of my approach with it. I try to be conversational. I try to banter with the audience. But I know there's people that don't like that style. My attitude is, do what you find best. Do what works better for you. If you don't like this style of magic, don't do it. If you don't like this performance style, don't perform that way. You figure out the best way for you, and you make sure that you do it that way. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on that subject. David Blaine says, what do I think about the new Leviosa phone? You're going to find out at 9 o'clock tonight, because at 9 o'clock tonight, I've got a review show special where me and Ryan sit down and talk about the Leviosa phone. I'm going to give you a sneak opinion now. I think it's amazing. I actually think it's better than the original Leviosa. And tonight at 9 o'clock, I'll tell you exactly why I think it's better than the original Leviosa. But it's good. It's really, really good. Ryan has been doing it all weekend. And all week, while he's been at Blackpool, he's actually done it in his show. You're going to see performance footage of him doing it in his show. It's exceptional. I love it. So, yeah, it's really good. Okay, so the next question is Concure 5 7538. Hi, Craig. Some of my favourite tricks use Gaffed cards. For example, Sticker Kicker, which I like to use as an opener, as well as Minibook Pro, Look Sharp 2.0, amongst others. Do you have any advice on how to set up a deck with a number of these Gaffed cards in play? If you wanted to do each trick one after another, would you keep the Gaffs together in the deck and control them to the top or the bottom as needed? Or would you leave them in a pocket and cop them in when you need them? I've not learnt the cop yet, but if you think it's the best method, I'll definitely learn it. Any other suggestions on dealing with multiple Gaffed cards are very welcome. Thanks as always for everything you do for the community. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'm trying to think. Look, you could have a series of Gaffed cards, but what I would do is I would intersperse it with non-Gaffed routines. So, because else you're just going to have gaff after gaff after gaff after gaff. So let's say you've got 5 card tricks that use Gaffed cards that are incorporated as part of a regular deck. What I would do is I would maybe have a Gaffed card trick on top of the deck, followed by the cards that I need to perform a second trick that's got nothing to do with the gaffs, then the third gaff, then the fourth gaff, then maybe the cards that I need to do another trick that's got nothing to do with the gaffs, and then the fifth gaff. And then what I would do is I would show the deck face up, let them see it's normal, go into the first trick. You might want to consider, depending on the routine that you're doing, you might want to consider palming that gaff off when you're done with it. It depends on whether it affects the rest of the deck or not. You could control it to the bottom. It very much depends. So you're kind of using the deck a little bit like an open index, in that you can access any of these Gaffed cards at any point. And that's another way to do it, to be honest. Actually use it as an open index. Have 8 different Gaffed cards in. Crimp every single one of them. Have them at various different points. So when you want to do gaff number 1, you cut at the correct point. It's on top. You do it. You put it away. You then have gaff 2. You know where that is. That's another approach as well. I think if you were trying to cop multiple gaffs in and out, I think it would get a bit messy, because you'd have to, a cop works with your left hand if you're right-handed like me. So you could either cop from your back pocket, your left hand pocket, or your jacket pocket if you've got a jacket. And you'd probably end up having all the gaffs getting confused and so on and so forth. Plus, if you're constantly having to cop in, I don't think that would be very clean. So it's a great method to use if you're trying to introduce like maybe 1 Gaffed card or perhaps 2 Gaffed cards. But if you're doing it over and over again during a set, I don't think that's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, I would probably kind of create an open index with a deck of cards. That would probably be the way that I would go with it. Okay, next question is from Jags Magic. It says, hi Craig, will you have an idea when we get the TT video? We appreciate your dedication to entertainment. Please keep killing it. Yeah, when I'm back from the UK, back from Blackpool into my office, I will get it sorted. I'm back on the 2nd of September. And then I'm stationed in the Midlands for a while. So at that point, I'm going to be able to get on with all of this stuff, and I'll get, hopefully in September, I'll get the thumb tip video out. I know that we've been waiting for the hows and whys of the thumb tip. I promise I will get to it. It's just been, for the last couple of months, I've been on the road, so it's been very difficult. Okay, so the next question is from AJ Castelletto, who says, I remember a few months ago you talked about an atomic deck update, but it hasn't been discussed. What's going on with that? I'm waiting for the information. I can't announce what's happening with that until I'm told to from Murphy's. When I work with a production company, I kind of have to work alongside them. So I'm not allowed to tell certain things until it happens, but it's definitely happening. It might not be until the end of the year, but at some point I am going to be able to announce some exciting news to do with the atomic deck. I'm sorry, I'm not purposefully holding information back. And also, by the way, there's going to be a video going up on this, but the Savant deck, we have actually uploaded into the tutorial section for Savant deck users the additional Savant deck tutorial from Pigcake and Pete Turner. That's it. Those are the names of the people I was going to be telling you about, Pete Turner and Pigcake. We've uploaded a 2-hour masterclass from Pete Turner and Pigcake talking about how you can use the Savant deck in incredibly weird and wonderful ways. So if you're a Savant deck user, you can go and check that out now. The Atomic deck, watch this space. Okay, so the next question is from Agent Suter, who says, hi Craig, do you know a trick with Scrabble tiles, or do you have an idea for one? I actually have a trick that's coming out at some point next year with Scrabble tiles. So that's coming out sometime next year. Jay Sankey has an incredible incredible Scrabble tile trick. It's called Spellbound. I actually did a review on it on this channel a while ago. It's really good. And Alakazam have a Scrabble tile trick coming out soon as well. I've actually had the prototype from Alakazam. I believe they want me to help with the tutorial as well. So that's coming out. But also, if you can make double-sided Scrabble tiles, which you can do fairly easy, then you can do any of the routines in my marketed effect Level Up, but with Scrabble tiles, which is kind of an interesting concept there as well. So there's a few different things that are coming out soon, that if you want something right now, then go check out Sankey's website, because he's got a really good Scrabble tile trick called Spellbound. Okay, so the next question is from Snapu, who says, you can't think you're entitled to any of the secrets of another magician's act, especially a professional. The guy who wrote this is an insecure git for assuming it's because he's a hobbyist. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not getting into the drama. I'm not even going to look it up. I don't need drama in my life. If you got an opinion, cool. I just don't know what you're talking about. It's probably something off last week's Q&A. I'm not going to look into it. You're entitled to your opinion. Next question is from Leatherlips, who says, great channel. Any idea where the Coin Academy for the Alakazam Elite Coin range, combining the various sets, will be made available? Thanks. It was meant to be earlier this year. I actually haven't been to Alakazam HQ at all in 2025. I'm scheduled to go in October. In October, I'm filming a huge coin set. I'm filming the next big coin set for Alakazam. And at the same time, I'm also going to be doing that academy. And we're going to incorporate every single elite coin range, including Apparition, including Nightshade, including Dave Lucille's one, including the Bag Reborn, including Mirage, everything. We're gonna amalgamate them all together. So if you've got any one of those, then you're going to be in for a treat. Sorry it's taken so long, but watch this space. Okay, so the next question is from the Cyber Medium, my friend Andrew, who says, Ryland and Thea's transition from fantastic balloon to the spontaneous levitation is fantastic. Having sat 6 feet away from the balloon levitation at their Magic and Mischief performance last night too, I can say that they're two of the best levitations I've seen. Andrew, first of all, thank you for coming out and supporting them and watching the show. I really appreciate it. Second of all, I have to agree, that closing set with the amazing balloon going straight into Spontus is great. He's actually added a third section now. So he does the amazing balloon, then he does Leviosa phone, and then he does the Spontus. So he starts by floating a balloon, then he floats the phone, and then he finishes off by actually floating Thea up in the air. So it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sequence to end the show, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being so nice. Okay, so the next question is from I'm Too Young to Die, who says, hi Craig, I'm doing a close-up competition on the 8th of October and have a set list. They give you 10 to 12 minutes if there's a lot of people doing it. But last year, there wasn't that many, so they made the performance longer and it became 10 to 12 minutes. Starting with screen test with the envelopes and put the gold one at the side that has the prediction in it, show that there are 5 films, put them in the envelopes and get them to choose one, then go into the screen test main effect, get the film, but don't tell them it moves onto Out of This World with the Evoke deck, go back to screen test with the envelopes, get them to change the envelope, show that it matches the gold envelope, and then go, but remember you pick the film as well, and then tell them the film. That's a lot. Do you think I will struggle to get all that into 10 to 12 minutes? I had a different set list which had Stealth Assassin and EDC with receipts, but I realised it would be about 30 minutes set and it was all over the place. That shows the difference between happy and sad. Like films make you happy, but I can't think of the sad side of it. That's what I'm struggling with. So effectively, you're opening with screen test, then you're going into Evoke with Out of This World, and then you're finishing off with screen test. I mean, that's a great set. It's a great set. My question is, why are you using Evoke? Now, I know that's a ridiculous thing for me to say because it's my trick, but if your whole set list is about films, wouldn't you be better off doing Focus? You could do Focus, and you could use the cards from Focus, which are all based around films, and you could do the same Out of This World, but with films instead of with emotions, which would keep the whole thing movie based. The other thing that I would say to that is if you're wanting to have that sad, happy thing, and you were using films from films from Focus, I imagine it'd be very easy to have like 13 films that are comedies and then 13 films that are kind of more dramas or serious comedies, and you could talk about the same thing. There's certain films that evoke a negative emotion in people because they're about the subject matter, but then there's certain films that make people feel happy because they're comedies, right? And we're going to see, do you prefer comedies or do you prefer more serious matter? Oh, you prefer more comedies? Well, let's try and do this. I've got these cards. We're going to mix them up and kind of go into it that way. That would seem, because one of the things that people are looking for in competitions is they're looking for everything to flow. They're wanting it to flow from A to B to C. They're wanting to see transitions, logical jumping off points from one thing to the next. And if you're jumping around all over the place, you might lose marks on that. So I'd consider doing that. But if you want to drop a video of a rehearsal of your performance, I'll happily watch it and critique it for you. Just let me know. Drop it down below. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Devereaux, who says, "Hi, Craig. Hope you're very well." I am, thank you, Stephen. When I was little, my magic teacher always said, "Is it better to have 10 tricks and do it 100% than 100 tricks and only do a few tricks well?" So is that great advice or not? I know we all want the latest and greatest tricks. Thanks, Stephen Rue from South Africa. Look, it's down to the individual. I couldn't just do 10 tricks for the rest of my life. I would get bored. The thing about me is I love magic. And because I love magic, one of the things about loving magic is I love working on new routines. I love learning new routines. I love reading books. I love learning new tricks that have just come out, and that's never going to change. If I wasn't a performing magician, if I didn't make my money from performing magic, I would still have magic as a hobby, because I have always loved and I will always love magic. And for me, restricting myself to 10 tricks and doing it 100%, I'd be bored. That'd be like a singer going out and singing the same 10 songs over and over again and never adding any new songs to their repertoire. I think that a singer, I might be wrong, but I think that most singers, most artists, most music artists would probably get bored with that. I would get bored. Now, I know there's other people that won't. I've got friends that do the same 6 or 7 tricks over and over again. They never do anything different. They never learn any new magic. They never do anything. They just go out and do the same 7 or 8 tricks, and they're happy with that, and that's great. But they openly say that they're kind of in magic for the paycheck, and they're not really in it for the love of it. And you know what? If I look back at the tricks that I did just 3 years ago, when I go out and I gig, I'd say 60 to 70% of the tricks that I do now are completely different, but way better than the ones I did 3 years ago. But the reason I found tricks that are ultimately better is because I didn't limit myself to the same tricks, and I was always looking for something better, something better. I was always looking for something to expand my horizons. If I took the attitude of just doing the same 6 or 7 tricks and that's it, I would never improve. Maybe I'd get those tricks to 100%, and maybe they're not at 100% right now, but I would still not as improved as a performer as much as I am now. And also, it's allowed me to go into different areas and different places. You know, if you've got, say, 10 tricks that you do 100%, but they're all close-up tricks, what are you going to do when you go on stage? What are you going to do if you do a kid show? What are you going to do if you do a parlor show? You know, I don't think you do restrict yourself, but really, that's just my opinion. You have to do what's best for you. Okay, so the next question is from Archie Cox, who says, "I'm doing a show on the 6th of September for my Taekwondo class, and it's at the Get Together, the barbecue social afternoon. I have 2 questions based on this show. Number 1 of the tricks in my show involves getting people to write down songs on the card. So I'm going to go around and get people to do this before the show. And I may also do some close-up magic at the same time as this. What do you think is the best way of approaching people for this? I mostly know everybody, and I know that there's some people I don't know that well. I don't want to stand silently near them awkwardly, but if people are having a conversation, I don't want to interrupt them midway through the speaking. What's the right way to do this?" Well, what you were describing there, Archie, is one of the most difficult things about being a close-up magician, which is you have to go up to a group of people that don't know who you are. You have to interrupt them from having a conversation they're having. You have to tell them what you're doing and have them care enough that they want to actually listen to what you're saying or you're doing for the next couple of minutes. Approaching a group. I've done videos on this before on the channel. My advice would be to go in there confidently and very, very confidently, and just let them know what you're doing. So my approach when I go up to a group is I go, hey, my name's Craig. I'm not as dodgy as I look. I'm here to come and do some magic for you. I'm going to be performing a couple of quick tricks. You, sir, you look very excited about that. And I point to somebody in the group and I say, you look very excited about that, which normally gets a laugh, and I'm into it. The other way I do it is I turn up to a group and I go, hey, is this the fun group? Oh, I'm so glad I found you. I've been looking around for a while. I'm so glad I found the fun group. My name's Craig. I'm the magician. I heard that you love magic. So either one of those will work, or find your own way to do it, but you need to go in confidently. You need to go in there confidently. And this was a Simon Lovell concept, which is when you go in there, let them know that you're not going to be there for long. You know, by saying, hey, I've been asked to come and do a couple of quick tricks for you. By saying a couple of quick tricks, it shows them you're not going to be there forever. And by saying the words, I have been asked, or I have been invited to, suggest them that you're not just some random bloke turning up off the street and doing magic, but you're actually part of the event. Now, you want to go around and you want to get people to write down songs. So your opening could be, hey, my name's Archie, sorry to bother you, I'm going to be performing on stage in a little bit doing a show, and I'm trying to get as many people as possible to write down names of songs without showing me. Can I give you this piece of paper, this piece of paper, this piece of paper? Can you write down a song? Don't show it me. That would be amazing. Fantastic. Now, while that's happening, I have been asked to come along and do a bit of magic as well. So while we're doing that, I'm just going to show you one quick trick. Would that be okay? And boom, you're straight into it. So you have a reason to go up to people because you're trying to do this thing that you need to do for your show a little bit later on. The most important thing is smile, have fun with it, walk up, look interesting, look engaging, look entertaining. That's all you kind of need to do, really. Okay, so Archie has a second question about his show, which is, can you tell me what you think of the opening of the show? After I've been introduced, I walk onto the entrance music, and then once the entrance music is finished and people have stopped clapping, I say, hello, are you all having a good day? Amazing. Now, I'm not sure most of you know me, but if you don't, my name's Archie, and I'm a magician and a mind reader. Give me a cheer if you like magic. Fantastic. Give me a cheer if you don't like magic, but you've been told that you need to watch this, so you're going to watch it anyway. Great. Sarcastically. Now, we're going to create a magical moment in time. I'm going to be getting inside your minds. So just a warning, if you're thinking of something you shouldn't be thinking, then stop thinking it, especially that. And at the end of the show, I'm going to use the show. I'm going to show you how every single one of us here are all connected. That's a great opening, Archie. That's really, really good. You've set the scene, you've come out, you've been engaging, you've been interesting, you've thrown a couple of funny lines in there, you've acknowledged the fact that not everybody knows what the heck is going on, and you've told them that you're going to be showing them something incredible. The most important thing is that you deliver it confidently. Eye contact with the audience, walk out confidently. I can't tell, I know you know Ryland, so I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you the amount of times I got Ryland to learn how to walk to his spot on stage. From the very first second you walk on stage, you need to be confident and you need to have people have a reason to watch you. And so you walk out on stage, and then you're straight into it. Hello everyone, are you all having a good time? Amazing. Now I'm sure most of you don't know me. My name's Archie. I'm a magician and a mind reader. Give me a cheer if you like magic. Now, do you hear my tone of voice? Do you hear my tonality? It's so much better than if you walk out and you go, hi, my name's Archie. I do magic. You know, you want to kind of have that tonality there. That's really important. But the actual script, great. Just try not to actually deliver it like you're delivering a script. Okay, we've got one final question from Archie, who says, also not related to the show, but in terms of close-up magic, I've been doing a lot of card magic, which I enjoy, but I'd like to do some things with other props as well. What would be a good prop to focus on that can learn some simple magic with? Would rubber bands be a good option? Yeah, I did a video on the channel a couple of days ago with Tom Maloney, showing him all the different rubber band tricks that you can do. The cool thing about rubber bands is everyone starts at ground zero, because the sleights that you use with rubber bands are completely different to the sleights that you would use with any other prop. So you kind of have to learn from scratch again, and it's all relatively simple. When you get one or two of those down, there's so much you can do. And you know, they're great. You know, elastic bands are great because you can just put them on your wrist and you're ready to go anytime, anywhere. So I would say elastic bands are a perfect trick to do. 100%. Okay, one final question for today, and that's Magic Elliot. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Well, he says, thank you for your recent video about rubber band magic. It was very inspirational. You're more than welcome. What are the best sources for learning rubber band magic rather than a single trick download? Look at all of Dan Harlan's stuff. Dan Harlan has some great material on rubber bands. The Band Shark is a great project to look at. Also, try and pick up Russell Leeds Banding Around and More Banding Around. Russell, who's no longer in Magic, he was my ex-business partner, he was very, very good at rubber bands, and some of the band material that I use to this day was based on Russell's material. It's really good, and if you can't find that material, a lot of it's on the Netrix, but you might be able to find something like World Magic Shop or somewhere. Outside of that, you might want to consider looking at Extreme Band Magic, which was the L&L DVD set that Joe Ryan-Fleech brought out on rubber band magic. Now, since then, he's done a metric ton of downloads, and all of them are really good. But if you want a very good overview and eclectic range of the type of magic that he did, I would definitely recommend his L&L DVD sets, which you can probably get as a download now. I imagine, just search online and I'm sure you can find it. It was Extreme Rubber Band Magic. Those are the sources that I would initially start with. They're like the best ones if you want like big, huge like collections of rubber band magic. That's kind of where I would start. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. I hope you enjoyed this week's Q&A. Now, thank you once again for watching. A couple of things I need you to do. First of all, don't forget to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff. Also, join the Netrix, which is my online streaming platform for magicians. You can get access immediately. It is the netrix.com. New videos, new tricks, new sleights, and everything else coming soon. And also, make sure you check back at 9 o'clock tonight, because at 9 o'clock tonight, myself and Ryan are here doing a review show special on one of the biggest tickets in Magic at the moment, which is Jao Miranda's Leviosa phone. Make sure you check that review out. Outside of that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig, and this has been your Q&A right here on Magic TV.